Hello friends, Mr. Burrell here. We're getting right started with our very first unit. This unit is kind of a review unit. We're gonna not learn anything terribly new in this unit, but kind of go over some basic and main things that you've already learned in your math career so far that will be really helpful moving forward with all the stuff that we're going to learn this year. So the first thing that we're going to review, the first thing that we're going to go over is order of operations. Hopefully this is something that you've heard of before. Hopefully this is something that you've used. But to introduce this, I want to show you something real quick. So there's this game, if you search this up on the internet, there's this game that I like to play called Crypto. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. But Crypto is kind of like a math game where you randomly choose 5 numbers and then you have to mathematically manipulate them to equal some 6th number. For example, here I have 1, 3, 7, 2, and 5, and I have to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, parentheses, whatever, in order to make all of these numbers equal this number. So I want you to maybe pause this video, think about that for a second, on your guided notes, on a piece of scratch paper, something like that. I want you to try to manipulate those numbers in order to equal 10. Write it out, see what you can get. So now that you've paused this, hopefully, and worked with this a little bit, let me show you some of the ones that I came up with. So first I did 7 minus 3, which is 4, and 2 minus 1 over here, which was 1. And I did 4 plus 5 plus 1, 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 1 is equal to 10. Boom. Love it. Killed it. Here's another one that I came up with. 5 times 3 is 15. Over here in these parentheses, 2 times 1 is 2. 15 minus 7 plus 2. 15 minus 7 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Yes. Nailed it. Again, love it. Okay. Last one that I found, I took in this little fraction, I took 3 times 5, which is 15, plus 7, which is 22. I took 22 divided by 2. 22 divided by 2. And then subtracted 1. 22 divided by 2 is 11. Minus 1 is 10. Yes! Math is fun. Math is cool. So those aren't the only ways probably that you could have done that. Maybe you came up with something different. But I want you to notice, the reason I kind of bring this up with the parentheses and all these different operations is the order in which I simplified each of these expressions. And that order is called order of operations. So, by the end of this lesson today, this is what I hope that you're able to do. I hope that you're able to understand the order in which you simplify math expressions. This isn't anything terribly new, but I hope that you're able to review and understand the order that we simplify math expressions. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What is half of 2 plus 2? I want you to get an answer in your brain. What is half of 2 plus 2? What do you think that is? Well, you probably get either of these two answers, either 2 or 3. When I ask you what is half of 2 plus 2, you probably get either 2 or 3. Why did some of you get different answers? Why do you think you would have gotten a 2 instead of a 3 or vice versa? Well, let me write this out. If you take half of 2, which is 1, plus 2, then you get 3. But on the other hand, if you do half of 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, and half of 4, 1 half times 4 is 2. So you notice, depending on kind of how I read that expression, depending on how you write it out, you're going to get different answers. Because of this is why the order of operations is so critical. Because right at the basis of everything we do in math, we write lots of expressions like this. And there needs to be one consistent way in which we know how to simplify these types of expressions so we don't end up with situations like this, where we get 2 different answers. Okay? All right. So the order of operations, some of you may have heard the order of operations using this. Let me get in here. Using this, let me go back, sorry. You've probably heard the order of operations told to you like this. Maybe something like this. PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, something like that. That's all fine and dandy. I'm not going to use that mnemonic because sometimes it can get a little confusing. I'm going to cover 3 main things to remember, just 3 steps. So the 3 steps we follow when simplifying mathematical expressions is first I look for grouping symbols. So I look for like parentheses, these little braces, these little brackets, a fraction bar, something like that. First I look for grouping symbols and simplify math expressions inside those grouping symbols. So that's first. Second, moving from left to right, is that left to right on the screen? That's my left to right. Moving from left to right, I'm going to do all my multiplication and division. So left to right, I'm going to multiply and divide. And then after I do multiplying and dividing, I'm going to move left to right, adding and subtracting. So I take care of all my grouping symbols. Do multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. Okay, that's the order of operations. So let's go ahead and look at a couple examples and simplify those expressions using these rules. So these are in your guided notes. You can follow along if you have those. If you don't have those, I recommend downloading them. So in example number 1, it says 10 divided by 9 minus 2 times 2 in parentheses, bracket, blah, 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 blah. So following my order of operations, first I need to look for grouping symbols. So I have some grouping symbols right here. I have these little brackets, and then I have some grouping symbols right here. I have some parentheses. So I'm going to start at the very innermost set of those grouping symbols. So right here, I'm going to take 2 times 2, which is 4. So that would leave me with 10 divided by bracket 9 minus 4, and then close bracket. I still have some grouping symbols, so I'm going to go ahead and take 9 minus 4, which is 5. And then I have 10 divided by 5. Well, I don't have any more grouping symbols, so my next step would be doing multiplication and division from left to right. Multiplication and division from left to right. Well, I have 10 divided by 5, which is 2. Done. That's my final answer, is 2. We all followed the same process. We should have all gotten the answer of 2. Okay. Feeling good? Okay. Next, example number 2. I have 3 times 5 minus 8 divided by 4 plus 6. So first step in my order of operations, I need to look for grouping symbols. Are there any grouping symbols here in example number 2? No. There are no parentheses, there are no brackets, there are no braces, there are no fractions, nothing like that. So I can go ahead and skip straight to step 2. So step 2 is do a multiplication and division from left to right. So moving from left to right, I have a multiplication right here. So 3 times 5 is 15. I have a subtraction symbol. I'm not going to do that yet. And then I have 8 divided by 4. That's a division, so I'm going to go ahead and do that next. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then I have an addition here. I'm not going to do that yet, so then I just am left with plus 6. So I took care of all my multiplication and division going from left to right. Now my last step is to do all my addition and subtraction from left to right. So here I have 15 minus 2, which is 13, plus 6, which is 19. So my final answer is 19. We all followed the same process, the same order of operations, and hopefully got 19 as my final answer. Okay. Example number 3 says simplify each expression. I have 2 times 15 minus 9 times 9. So remember the order of operations. I need to look for grouping symbols like these. Then I need to look for multiplication and division from left to right. And then I need to look for addition and subtraction from left to right. Well, do I have any grouping symbols? Yes, I do. I have these parentheses right here. So I better do what's inside those parentheses first. 15 minus 9 is 6. So I have 2 times by 6 times by 9. See that? This 2 on the outside of the parentheses, once I simplify the parentheses, it's really just multiplying. There's no more grouping symbols, so next I'm going to go ahead and multiply and divide from left to right. So 2 times 6 is 12, times 9, 12 times 9 is 108, I believe. 12 times 9 is 108, so that is my final answer. Do a couple other ones. Example number 4 says 6 plus 2 divided by 4. Do I have any grouping symbols? Well, yes. I have like a fraction bar here. When I have a fraction bar, that counts as a grouping symbol. So I'm going to go ahead and do 6 plus 2 on the top, which is 8, divided by 4. Okay, well, I've taken care of simplifying the top and bottom of those fractions. Now I'm going to move on to multiplying and dividing from left to right. Well, I have 6 plus 8 divided by 4. That's division. So 8 divided by 4, well, that's going to be 6 plus 2. And 6 plus 2 is 8. So my final answer is 8. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to do one of these, and then I want you to do one just by yourself for practice. These are a little bit more intense. They are not in your guided notes. You can use the workspace there. So I have 3 times 5 divided by 4 plus 1 plus, in brackets, 7 times 5 squared minus 20, parentheses, brackets. Wow, this one's fun. So first step is I need to take care of my grouping symbols. So I need to take care of my fraction bars, all of my parentheses, all of my brackets, things like that. So let's see. I have a fraction bar here. So let's simplify the top and the bottom. 3 times 5 is 15. In the bottom here, 4 plus 1 is 5. Then I have a plus. And then I have brackets here and parentheses here. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of what's inside the parentheses first. So right here inside the parentheses, I have 5 squared minus 20. 5 squared, when I have an exponent like that, 5 squared is just really 5 multiplied by itself, right? That's what an exponent is just a number multiplied that many times. So 5 times 5 minus 20, well, 5 times 5 is 25, minus 20 is 5. So I have this bracket, 7 times all of this turned into 5. Okay. Well, I still have some grouping symbols here. So over here I have 15 divided by 5 plus, and then 7 times 5 is 35. Okay. I've taken care of all my little grouping symbols. Now I better do multiplication and division from left to right. Well, here's some division. So moving from left to right, I need to do 15 divided by 5, which is 3. So I have 3, and then plus 35. Since I've done all my multiplication and division, I next do addition and subtraction from left to right. 3 plus 35 is 38. Okay, I'll leave you to do this one on your own. But that's everything. That's the order of operations. This is going to give us a good little intro into everything we're going to discuss in the review unit and be helpful with the things that we do throughout this trimester. So hopefully now you understand a little bit better the order in which you simplify these math expressions. Remember that we look for grouping symbols, then multiplication and division from left to right, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did.